Francisco last night as a television audience in the millions waited for Game 3 of the World Series. As the clock ticked past 5, the pregame show began on ABC with Al Michaels and Tim McCarver at the mic, and then disaster struck.
At 5:04 p.m., ABC was warming up the audience with highlights from Game 2.
So the Oakland A's take.
I'll tell you what, we're having an
NBC's Bob Costas was also in the press box.
As a group, sports writers tend to be cynical, and they were nervous titters at first. But then after it stopped, you saw the blood drain from people's faces, and they couldn't hide how shaken they were by it.
The earthquake knocked the World Series coverage off the air, and the game itself had to be canceled. For a few dazed minutes on ABC, America saw Roseanne. News organizations were scrambling. At Candlestick Park, sports reporters all of a sudden had a bigger story to cover, and athletes became witnesses.
First of all, your primary concern is like, where's my family, where's my kids, my wife?
On the West Coast, news coverage was almost continuous. In the rest of the country, most of the primetime schedule was preempted by news coverage of the earthquake. It was a difficult story to cover.
Nobody seems to know exactly what's going on.
In San Francisco, there were massive power outages. The NBC station put its news anchors in the streets and went on the air with a portable generator. There was sensational home video on the Bay Bridge where a big chunk had collapsed. Thomas and Debbie Kelly of Oklahoma City captured this accident.
Oh, my gosh.
There was, of course, true drama everywhere. When this section of freeway collapsed, scores of people were killed, and others were trapped as television focused on it live.
Girl 9 has already been taken out of the car and to the hospital, but her brother, a 7-year-old boy, is still up there, and they are working right now on trying to get him out.
Caltrans is now saying it may take 3 weeks before the Bay Bridge is open, and they're saying that's terribly optimistic. It could be longer. Engineers found some serious structural damage when they were examining the bridge today after a portion, of course, collapsed last night. It is incredible that somebody with a home video camera was on the bridge taking pictures as all of this occurred. Let's take a look. This is slow motion. Just after the quake, you can watch that brown car. It goes down, and then it comes back up again. Apparently, the driver not seeing the gaping opening in the road. There were 2 cars that went down. One of them was removed earlier today. We are told that the people from those cars were rescued, according to reports. It seems incredible, but apparently another woman in another car in a panic tried to jump the opening, and that woman was killed. Leo McCarthy visited the Bay Bridge today and climbed over the side to get a picture, a better look at what happened.
The tower that anchors this side of this major section of the upper deck was pushed off its shoe. You can see where the paint is uncovered here. It's moved that much over. And one of the toughest problems they've got is to figure out how to put the tower of the bridge at this point back into alignment, because they have to tie these deck pieces to that tower.
McCarthy said it is too early to tell how much it might cost to repair the bridge.
Channel 3's Mike Boyd spent last night and today in Santa Cruz, in that little charming resort community that all of a sudden has been turned upside down. He tells us it is a city without any facilities that all of us take for granted, yet the people there are all working together in an attempt to recover together.
We are very close to the epicenter of this earthquake, the Patchen Pass, 1,800 feet elevation at the Santa Cruz County line. As you can see, part of this hillside has slipped all the way down into Highway 17, and the median strip, the concrete abutment, has been totally wiped out here.
In fact, Highways 17 and 9 into the city of Santa Cruz were closed to all traffic. Highways 1 and 101 were restricted. Daylight revealed even more damage to the 6-block, 70-store mall complex. Virtually every building was either heavily damaged or destroyed. Officials estimated the loss in the tens of millions of dollars. The death toll stands at 8, 4 from this immediate area, but late in the day, concerns grew. Others were still unaccounted for. 3 more rescue dogs were assembled for a final assault on every building in the mall to look for more victims. This electric town clock marks the exact time of the quake. Only partial power has been restored to Santa Cruz. water supplies remain contaminated. From Santa Cruz, Mike Boyd, Channel 3 reports.
Close to the quake's epicenter, that timber leaving buildings collapsed there and homes just shaken off their foundations. Channel 3's Rich Ibarra traveled to Los Gatos today to try to find out how people are coping.
Your belongings are safe. Now, it by no means that they're going to get out the wrecking ball and knock your building down.
Some people can't return to apartments and homes for at least a week. The hardest hit area in Los Gatos was the downtown historic section. Police closed it off to all but essential traffic. The night before, this section was without power, and police report some looting took place, although police made no arrest. 100-year-old buildings are crumbling and twisted, and some will have to be torn down. But for now, the big concern is water for the 28,000 people who live here.
We do have a limited amount of water for potential fire suppression. It's not great, but we do have a limited amount of water and perhaps some accessible to us.
Can the people drink it?
The people cannot drink water. We are being advised by San Jose Water Company that for the next 48 hours, you should boil tap water before drinking it, and boiling it for about 3 minutes.
It was designed to take.
By the time the team got to the 4th Street exit, it was clear the highway must stay closed. It is too dangerous to reopen. The flag at the ferry building also signaled trouble for the Embarcadero section of Highway 480. Sidewalks buckled and pillars are severely stressed. But unlike in Oakland, the ones in San Francisco did not collapse. Caltrans engineers say it's not just the damage they can see that worries them, but the cracks they can't see. Special crews will have to x-ray all the damaged pillars before they can figure out how to fix it and how long it will take.
It's just a horrible sight, something that you cannot fully appreciate just by looking at it on the television screen until you actually see the collapse of this freeway and to realize so many individuals who were caught beneath it as it collapsed and just absolutely, of course, never had a chance. And our hearts go out to them, and on behalf of all Californians, I do want to extend our deepest sympathy to those family members who have suffered losses of members of their families, and certainly to those who have been injured and who are now hospitalized. And we're hoping and praying that those who have serious injuries will have a full and speedy recovery, and that there will not be any further loss of life as a result of this tragic disaster.
Ladies and gentlemen, power has been interrupted. The game has been called. Can you please leave the stadium in an orderly manner?
The weight of what had happened started to sink in, and it just left everybody in shock. And everybody's walking around here right now dazed and confused, and it's just an awful feeling.
Who's behind us, he has to be somewhere up in there, because all the traffic had came to a complete stop. He's up on this bridge somewhere. I don't know.
Bob and Suzanne. Al says that you must do
the victims, as I mentioned to you, range from various
horrible, horrible ways of dying. It's just awful.
It is now 5:15, Tuesday, 17th of October, 1989. Helicopters are in the area. The bridge has collapsed. 2 cars. No one is injured at this time. First to be on the scene. The bridge has collapsed.
Seeing that there was an earthquake, I was on the bus here and we just started shaking. And the next thing I knew, I heard boom. And I looked out and the cars were like this, and I jumped off the bus and pulled some people out of the cars.
Everything except for me, because I wasn't here. I was at camp.
But you wanted your photograph.
Yeah.
What are you going to do?
What are we going to do? We're just going to save them, like we always have.
Where are you going to go?
My aunt's, anywhere where we could.
We saw cars crushed in the streets. We saw a bridge with no cars because it too had sagged. Near Watsonville, just before the Green Valley Road overcrossing and Harkin Slough Road, the southbound lane is flush with the ground, the northbound dipping dangerously. This has forced the closure of Highway 1 indefinitely. In Watsonville, from the air, there seems an eerie calm as you watch victims turn their backyards into campsites or look at the long, orderly lines for emergency supplies. It seems few were prepared for a Californian's worst nightmare to come true.
Of course, the largest loss of life has been across the bay from here in Oakland. Rescue workers are not giving up, though. There seems to be little hope, though, of any survivors being found in the collapse of Interstate 880 in Oakland. As you remember, the top tier caved in on the bottom tier of the highway, and that is when it is believed some 250 people were crushed to death. Now, there were reports yesterday that some voices were heard coming out of the rubble. That turns out being a false report. Apparently, some rescue workers heard it. It was, in fact, the garbled voices of police officers talking with each other. And joining me now is Bill Blakemore, who has covered earthquakes for ABC over the last 20 years. Is there any hope anyone could possibly be alive under all that rubble?
There certainly is. We've seen in other quakes that if people go into a coma because of slight damage, the body shuts down a little bit. They could last for days or even a couple of weeks in some cases. The chances diminish with time, but the chances are still there.
Were just crushed up, just hardly could recognize what they were. Others were just pancaked together, just accordion pleated.
And as I understand it, from what you saw, there were probably a number of collisions just before the collapse.
The status on the Golden Gate Bridge for folks using the carpool lanes there, you only need 2 people instead of the usual 3. And CHP is also requesting that you equally distribute yourselves approaching the Richmond-San Rafael Bridge from westbound 80 by using both the central...
Hi, Sydney. We're at the 280-101 split coming into San Francisco. And as we discussed before, the aerial view that we've been getting of the city indicates much is resembling getting back to normal anyway. Much of the power is on, traffic is moving. Looking at it from up here, it really doesn't look like we've gone through what we have gone through. But one thing that isn't back to normal and glares out at you as something that is definitely a product of this earthquake is that 280 is still closed, and it's a very interesting view into the city. As you can see, 280 is just slabs of concrete that are empty. The raised roadway, of course, has been closed until structural engineers can get in and check into...
we visit a firm that is apparently near the epicenter of this quake, which struck at 5:00.